Okay, verse 9. For this reason, since the day we heard about you, we have not stopped praying for you. We continually ask God to fill you with the knowledge of his will through the wisdom and understanding that the Spirit gives, so that you may live a life worthy of the Lord and please him in every way, bearing fruit in every good work, growing in the knowledge of God, being strengthened with all power according to his glorious might, so that you may have great endurance and patience, and giving joyful thanks to the Father, who has qualified you to share in the inheritance of his holy people in the kingdom of light. For he has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of the Son he loves, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. So Paul says here, I pray for you, right? We've not stopped praying for you. And then he tells them what he prays for this church. He prays that God will fill them with knowledge of his will. Now, that word fill means to be crammed full. Okay? It doesn't just mean to have a little bit, but to be filled to the brim with the knowledge of God's will. And so he says, you need wisdom and understanding. Through all the wisdom and understanding that the Spirit gives. They need to be filled up with the ability to discern God's will. And this is important because the idea of discernment means that there are options. And you need to choose the best option. Right? If you only got one option, do you need to be discerning? No. Right? So there are other ideas and philosophies. That's the word that Paul uses in Colossians for this Colossian heresy. There are other ideas and there are other philosophies that the Colossian Christians are being presented with, and Paul wants them to be able to discern God's will. And he says that this comes through wisdom and understanding given by the Holy Spirit. Wisdom is the application of God's truth, and understanding is comprehending how all the pieces and parts fit together. You can kind of think of it as a puzzle. The understanding is seeing how the different aspects of the God life fit together and make the correct picture of God's will. And then Paul says he prays this because if they are able to discern God's will, they can live a life worthy of the Lord and please him. So living a life that is pleasing to God isn't just mindlessly going through life and having a fish bumper sticker on your car. Okay? It isn't mindlessly going through life, but it is trying to be wise and discerning in order to identify God's will and what will glorify God in every circumstance. Okay, so that means we don't just go through life like a bumper car. Okay, boom, oh, that didn't work, I'll try it over here. Oh, boom, that didn't work, I'll try it over here. Okay, it means we use wisdom and understanding and discernment to try and be able to identify this is God's will for me here and now, and even if it's tough, even if it's hard, that's what I'm going to choose to do. And he says we will be given Holy Spirit strength. He says when we do that, we will bear fruit in every good work. And then he says we will be given Holy Spirit strength to resist the false teachings and the bad influences that we can discern. Okay? There's options. If we're to discern God's will, we apply wisdom and understanding, and that's what we choose. The Holy Spirit gives us the power to resist what we shouldn't be into and what we shouldn't be doing. And he says we will be grateful for God revealing his will to us, grateful to God for giving us the ability to discern his will, and grateful to God for the power to do his will. Because in all of that, God is making us right to live forever in his kingdom of light. So Paul is making it clear here in this prayer, in this progression of thought, that being a Christian isn't just becoming a Christian, but it is living like a Christian. It is living like a Christian. And here Paul pulls this prayer together. He says that God has rescued us from the dominion of darkness. What does the word dominion mean? I had in my notes jurisdiction, the territory of control. All right? And so he's saying here, that's what we lived in. We lived in the dominion of darkness. We were in the space of and under the control of darkness. But he rescued us from the dominion of darkness, and he brought us into, or shifted us, or transformed us into the kingdom of Christ. And so that's Paul's thought pattern, is that we must live now as citizens of the kingdom of Christ.